kit is my Christmas in July. It's the Evergreen Elegance. And so everyone who ordered it has their kit of paper products, and you have all the supplies to make the 2 of each card. Plus you have 2 yards of the chevron weave ribbon, which is this evergreen ribbon. And you have a package of holiday rhinestones. In addition, most of you did the bundle, so you have the Evergreen Elegance stamp set that you're going to use and the coordinating evergreen punch. And I pre-embossed the evergreen with the evergreen folder in case people did not have the folder. And then all your die cuts are all die cut for you. Everything is ready. So what you need is evening evergreen ink, soft succulent ink, crumb cake ink, or something that you would substitute if you don't have those exact ones. And then you're going to want your scissors, whatever glue, and I recommend dimensionals. Is that making sense?
Colors one more time.
Yep. Evening evergreen or a dark green, soft succulent, and crumb cake, which is kind of a tan color. But you could substitute with anything. So on the crumb cake, you'll be able to see when it comes up. I'll show you. You could substitute a red would be good, a navy, even black. And if you don't have anything darker than soft succulent, or if you don't have, like if you only have one of those 2 greens, I will talk to you about how to use just the one green.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm going to turn this camera down so you can see my creating space. Now, can you see that well enough? I'm hoping you guys can see my picture bigger. I will put it right up to the screen. So in your...
If anyone's having trouble seeing it bigger, there's an option to click on it to make it bigger.
Oh, good. Amanda, can you walk them through that if they have questions?
I sure can.
Okay. Excellent. So the first card, so your cards are in your kit. They're stacked together, and then your envelopes are in the back. So the first kit is the soft succulent paper. So I'm going to lay all the pieces out. So you'll have 2 of each thing. You're going to have 2 soft succulent card bases, a piece of evening evergreen that is 5.5 by, dang it, 2.5. And then you have this piece of printed DSP. You guys also have a quarter package of the rest of the DSP from the tidings, the Christmas tidings or timeless tidings. But out of your pack, I cut your designer papers for you. Unlike at last year's retreat, when I had...
So the base is soft succulent cut to what size?
It's already cut to your standard card half, so it's 5.5 by 8.5.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. And then you've got, in that stack, as you're looking at your stack, you should have 2 evening evergreens and 2 pieces of DSP with the little, I gotta flip it, I'm gonna do it upside down. Amanda, can you tell me, are these trees, do they look right side up to you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, all right. I had to flip them. That's what I wanted to make sure. And then you have this particular die from the Stitched So Sweetly dies. So you have 2 of those. So you have 2 of each of these things. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So I am going to show you the ribbon for each card, but I would advise you to wait until you see the ribbon used on all the cards. If possible, to add it on some of them, because I just want to make sure that you have enough for all your cards. You should have with 2 yards, but when you go to tying, some people tie larger bows and stuff. All right, so we're going to start with this card. So you're going to get your saying out of your stamp set of whichever saying you want. So for this card, I designed it to be the biggest saying, the May the Beauty of the Season. But if you like a different a different sentiment, you can use whatever sentiment you like. So pick out your sentiment, and you are going to want one of your green inks. I'm going to do mine with Evening Evergreen, but you can do it with the Soft Succulent, or you could do it in black or another color, whatever you want. And so for this card, all you really are doing right now is stamping on this die. Well, I'll leave the green paper behind it so you can see against my white. I'm going to stamp it off first. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it had a lot of ink on one edge. And you're just going to fit it. It fits perfectly. This particular saying fits perfectly in there. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, hang on. I got to let someone back on here. Brittany, did you get on? Hang on a minute. Well, I accepted her. We'll see if she hops back on or not. Okay, so that is the first stamping. So you're going to do that 2 times for each card. Stamp whatever saying you want on the 2 cards. And let me know when you have that done, just so I can gauge when to go on. The pool was calling my name this evening, and I just realized I hadn't put my stamp set together before this class started.
Oh.
Because that's how crazy I am.
I'm done.
All right, perfect. All right, so now that you have those done, the next step is to fold your card base in half. So fold each of those, and you can put your ink away. You're going to fold your card base in half. Use a bone folder if you have one, whatever you like. And then you're literally going to glue, or whatever adhesive you want to use, your evergreen down about 1/4 inch from the fold. Like so. And then you're going to just glue that designer paper with all the cute little pine trees. You're going to center that onto the Evening Evergreen. And this is, when I make, like if I were doing Christmas cards and I'm making a bunch of one design, this is how I make them. I do one, I would do all my folding. Then I go back and glue all of them after I have all the pieces cut. And I just put them together, assembly line method. That may not work for you, but that is what works for me.
Well, it makes sense.
Well,
I'm trying to get more organized when I do cards or whatever, because I end up with such a huge mess. It's ridiculous. ridiculous. That's more when I'm trying to create.
Yeah, the creating part for me is the messiest, and it takes the most time. Once I can get an idea created and I make one that I like, then I can go back and cut everything and stamp everything and then assemble it all. But the creating part is the hardest. I'm trying to do more. One of the trainers that I work with, she suggests, she tells people how she creates to try to keep that at a minimum is she picks a color palette of 2 or 3 colors. And you're going to see that. I tried to do that within this class. 2 or 3 colors, 1 embellishment, 1 ribbon, kind of 1 stamp set or bundle. Now this one we did add the evergreen embossing folder, because then you and then when you sit down to create, it's not like you have your whole, someone else, I'm just letting people join, but I can't tell if they're coming in or not. Then you're not limited. Then you're limited. So you're not sitting down going, oh, I have, 25 colors that I could work with or whatever.
That's a good idea.
So limiting yourself with your supplies sometimes is helpful if you're trying to create something totally from scratch. So it's helpful for me, and she helped me with this kit. So that was helpful. All right, so do you have your paper all on?
Yep.
Okay, I keep accepting someone. Oh, hey, Brittany, you finally were back.
Yeah, sorry, I had to get on. I've been trying to get on my phone too, and it wouldn't let me on, but I finally got on.
No worries. I had you on, and then we lost you, and I kept accepting you, but it was not. I couldn't tell if you joined.
Shannon, I don't know about Amanda. We're all echoing right now.
It's because everyone has the mic on.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have to go back to everyone turn off their mics. Except me. And then that way, if you do have a question, just turn your mic on and ask. Otherwise, because I do want you to tell me when you have this part done. And Brittany, just to catch you up, we're just doing the first card. It's the stack with your soft succulent card bases, evening evergreen, this particular designer paper, and this stitch die. And then you're stamping the May the Beauty of the Season. You're stamping that sentiment, unless you want a different one, into the die. And if you do not have all the colors of ink, we will talk about that as we go. Any questions? I'm assuming no, because I hear from no one. Brittany, do you have any questions on getting caught up? Okay, and I will have the replay on my overhead camera if this doesn't record. All right, so your card should look like this at this point. And if you need me to wait, then unmute and tell me, because otherwise I'm going to show you the next step. All right, so next step is you're going to just put dimensionals on the back of that sentiment on your die, the Stitch So Sweetly die, which I personally love this die set. It is one of my favorites. And it took me a long time to decide I was going to buy it. And then after I did, I'm like, why did I wait so long? And you want to put it almost halfway down the page. Not quite all the way, but almost. Then you're going to take a little piece of your chevron ribbon. And if you want to wait, I just dropped my ribbon on the ground. If you want to wait until you see all the cards so that you know, you have to kind of do the math. You have 2 yards of ribbon, which is 6 feet. I'm going to do a bow because, of course, or I mean a knot, because, of course, I like knots better than bows, especially on videos. And you're going to put that on if you have a glue dot. If you don't, you can use seal or whatever adhesive you're using. We're going to put that right at the top. And you may want the bow. You may prefer to do a bow. I'm going to do a knot. And I'm going to actually trim mine down a little bit more. Like so. All right. And then you have a whole pack of the holiday rhinestones in your kit. And you can sprinkle or I like to do odd numbers, but you can do it however you want. And I like to do a mix of big and small. So I'm using the pool party ones because they're very close to soft succulent. You can use the evergreen ones as well if you want. And you're just going to sprinkle those wherever you want them on your thing. And that's the first card. And you're going to repeat that and do it for both. You have supplies to do 2 cards. Amanda, do you want to hop on and tell people if they're not seeing me as the main focal point how to do that?
Yeah, so on the video, if you just click on it, you should, or not really click on the video, but if you hover over her video, there should be 2 arrows pointing at each other. Or pointing away, depending on your screen. If they're pointing away, click on it, it'll make it bigger. But then also at the top right hand of your screen, you should see 3 little dots. If you click the 3 little dots, you could go into full screen, which will make it even bigger.
Which will make it bigger and will help you see it. And I'm going to put my card up here so you can kind of see it in more detail. But because I'm looking at it with multi people on here. So hopefully that'll help you be able to see it larger. All right, let me know when you feel comfortable that you have those done. If you have your camera where you can show us, go ahead and put your card on your camera and show us. And maybe if someone does show their card, I'm going to ask Amanda if she will see if she can swipe a picture. And Brittany, don't worry if you don't get caught up, you will. Amanda, do you have this evergreen bundle?
I don't have that one yet. I'm looking at having it on my next order.
It is.
And I've also been debating the Stitched So Sweetly die set too, so I'll probably add that to my next one as well.
I just have to say, when we had the new catalog come out, this was one of my favorite things out of the entire catalog. And I think because, I don't know, maybe we live in Colorado and I love the mountain stuff, but I think a large part of it was because I love this punch, the border punch, as well as the trees.
Yeah, that looks really nice too. I don't know. I honestly don't think I saw the punch with it, but
yeah, it comes as a bundle, and I know Karen has the bundle and Brittany has the bundle. I know that for sure. And we're gonna use the punch on one of the cards as well. But yeah, I like that this set had the evergreen trees with the pine boughs.
oh yeah, that's really nice. I think those trees will be really nice for a Christmas set because you could even use those.
Yes.
The little sparkly things that you just used. I can't remember what they're called.
The holiday rhinestones.
Yeah.
Yep.
To make it look like Christmas lights.
And we are going to do that on one of these cards.
Yay.
I know. All right. Let me check in with Karen. How are you doing?
I'm done.
Okay. And Brittany, how are you doing? Are you getting caught up?
She says not if you
But I will I'll start on the next one.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, that's perfect.
See, I can't blow up your screen on my phone, so I'm still trying to get on my computer.
Okay.
Okay.
Did Amanda's directions help you?
Help you?
I tried those, but it doesn't give me any option to. It doesn't have any of those options on it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I actually opened my computer.
No worries. I appreciate the help.
And Brittany, I will have you mute back, but I'll go through this first card again at the very end to get you caught up. All right. So we're going to move to card 2. And for that one, it is the all white stack of materials. Let me just see. Hang on, let me grab a dark color paper over here on my shelf. So you can see the pieces. So you're going to have 2 of everything, okay? So 2 of the thick white cardstock base, 2 of they're a quarter panel. Uh-oh, let me accept someone again. Okay, okay. Can you see me? Yes, okay, there. I was like, I'm trying to accept Brittany on her other thing. But you have 2 of these quarter panels that are already pre-embossed with the evergreen embossing folder. Then you have 2 of the scalloped rectangle, stitched rectangle. And then 2 pieces. This piece is almost 2 by 3 1/4, and this piece is a 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4. So this is what you need you should have. You need 1 of each piece for each card. Does everyone have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. This is going to be a very easy card. This card is designed using the crumb cake ink, but if you do not have crumb cake ink, you can substitute the evening evergreen. You can use soft succulent. You could use navy, black, red, whatever you like. And this one is going to use your Merry Christmas sentiment. Unless you want a different sentiment, then you're going to go ahead and use a different sentiment. And you're going to stamp on this long, skinny rectangle. Ink the Merry Christmas up with the crumb cake. Oops, I almost stamped it facing me, not so you could see. And you want to stamp it centered in that piece. Oh, and see, I got lines. That's because I haven't used this set yet. Well, not officially. So that happens. I'll just do lighter stamping. Okay, there we go. All right. Now the rest of this card is super easy. It's all about layering and gluing. We have a little bit of cut work, and if you have the banner punch, you could punch it and get the ends, but I'm just going to cut them and cut a little banner. If you don't want to try to cut that, you can just do an angle cut like this. Whichever end that you like, you can do your ends matching, or obviously mine is going to be not matching exact. And then with your ribbon, you're going to take and cut 1 piece for each card, and you just are looking for it to stick out of either end. So here is a ribbon saving technique. If you find that you're going to run short on ribbon, just cut little tiny pieces like this. See, this is how much ribbon I'm saving. Because all we're after is it to poke out of the ends. It's not going to actually show on these sides. So we're just looking for the ribbon to poke out of the ends. So that's just a way that you can save ribbon. And if you want, I think like I'm going to angle cut my ribbon, and I don't know if it will make a huge difference in being able to see it or not. Just so it doesn't look so blunt. And then we're going to put those on with a glue dot or some seal adhesive, whatever adhesive you want. But see how much ribbon I've saved by not going over the whole back end? And it still is going to give us the effect that we're after. We do have more stamping. I have to stamp the pine boughs. So the next thing is you're going to use the pine bough. And I said at the beginning, if you didn't have all of the ink colors, I would talk you through how to use it with just one green. So if you have only Evening Evergreen, let me move this just for a minute so I can show you. I'm going to show you both ways. So actually, let me do soft succulent first. So if you only have soft succulent or a lighter green, in order to get two colors, you're going to want to stamp. That's the full strength. And then for your lighter colored items, you're going to stamp off. Then you just don't re-ink it. So you still have two shades of green. And in essence, you're going to do the same thing with the Evening Evergreen. So there's the full strength of Evening Evergreen. Oh, my Evening Evergreen is not. And then there's the stamp off. So you can still get two shades of green, even if you're only working with one ink pad color, okay? And on this paper, they look very similar. So you may prefer, like I'm going to stamp my pine boughs in soft succulent. You may want to do them in Evening Evergreen, or that may be what you have, or another green. So let me bring this back. And you're going to stamp the pine bough on this small white. So you're going to ink that up, and you're stamping it at the bottom, and then you're going to do the top. Now, do not freak out if it looks messy in the middle, if like you catch edges and it overlaps. And if you had a Stamparatus, you could get that out and use it as well for that. That for me, especially if I'm doing lots of things and it's this amount, I just would rather eyeball it. But if you prefer the Stamparatus, by all means go on and use it. And then after you're done with that, that is all the stamping. So you're stamping those pine boughs, and then you're just going to fold your thick white card bases in half. And now we're just gluing everything together. So it's very easy. This card has your fold at the top. The fold is the top. And your next step is to glue on the panel that has the embossing folder. There are always two sides to the embossing folder. There's not a right and a wrong necessarily. So it's up to you. Whichever side you want to be your front is what you're going to put it on, how you're going to put it on. I am going to actually put dimensionals to kind of have the raised monochromatic panel effect. And I would recommend, since I'm doing a video, I just put on 4, 1 in each corner. If I'm really going to send this and be making them, which I might for this card because I really like it, I would probably use a total of 1, 2. I would put a third, another dimensional, so 8 dimensionals. I would put them in each corner and then 1 in the center of each side. And then your next step is to glue flat your pine boughs onto the scallop rectangle. So that one you're just going to adhere it, and the panels should fit right in. You kind of want to center it up into the stitched section. And if you wanted to do that with dimensionals, you could. I'm going to then put dimensionals on the back of the scallop section. This particular card uses several dimensionals, but that, I think, is what makes it so pretty with the all white. And then you're going to just kind of center to the lower 1/3. Centered on either side, but to your lower 1/3. Meaning I have twice as much above the scallop almost as I have below it. And then your last step is just more dimensionals on the back of that Merry Christmas banner. And you want to make sure that you put one in the center, because that will help where we did the ribbon saving technique. That will help it not look wonky, like a different depth. And that goes right in the center of the pine boughs. And that is why it doesn't matter if your pine boughs overlap there, if you didn't get them matched up perfectly. Now this card, I chose to not use any of the rhinestones on it, but you could certainly add rhinestones if you want. I did the crumb cake on here because it, even though it's not metallic, it kind of gives that hint of gold. But you could, like I said, you could have used evening evergreen, black, a different holiday color that you like, red. Some people like pinks with their holiday colors. You could use navy. There's lots of colors. So if you didn't have crumb cake, don't worry about it. Use whatever ink you have. It would certainly also be fine to use the same ink as the pine boughs, because then it'll just look very monochromatic. All right, that is the second card. Let me know when you guys get done. I know you're doing 2.
Hey Shannon, I just wanted to say I really love the simplicity of that card.
I love this card. The thing I like about this card is, even though there are several pieces, it goes together pretty quickly. And if you can pre-cut out, and one evening while you're watching TV or whatever, you're doing your die cutting and stamping, then you could make many of these, and I think people who receive these will really love them because they look very elegant. And there's minimal stamping.
Right.
I mean, it does require a cutting machine because you do have an embossing folder and a die. But
and that die is from the Stitch So Sweetly set as well, right?
No, this one is actually from the new scallop contours, I think. I was trying to use the Stitch So Sweetly. This is from the scallop contours. I wanted to use the Stitch So Sweetly because I wanted to try to only use one set of dies. But the rectangles in the Stitch So Sweetly, I was going to have to totally alter the sizing on the card. But yes, if you wanted, you could easily use, there is a die that is similar in size. There's one that's bigger and there's one that's smaller, but you just adjust your card design for it. Because I was already cutting this out, because this was a card that Rhonda did, and I did another one and we worked on it together. So I just went ahead and used the scallop contour die because I have those. The scallops on the Stitch So Sweetly are also smaller. So they're a smaller scallop effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. How is everyone? Brittany and Karen, are you good?
I'm good. I was trying to show it, but my camera's not working. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I'll have you just maybe you can take some pictures and post them to one of my groups. That would be good. When you get done to show what you did.
Sounds good.
All right. And Karen, are you good to move on? Or are you still answering work things?
I'm good.
Okay. I don't want to go too fast, but I also don't want to go too slow for you guys. All right. So the next card is your stack that has Evening Evergreen. Let me move my olive green paper now. All right. So in this stack, you have your Evening Evergreen card bases. You have an Evening Evergreen. It has this print on the back. There's 2 of those, 2 white panels, and again, another little tiny, this is again 3/4 by 3 3/4, and your white panel is 3 by 4. All right, so we have a little bit more stamping this time. And this time you're going to use the tallest tree and the smallest tree, unless you want to use different ones. It doesn't matter to me. And you would use 2 colors of green ink, or you're going to want to do that stamp off method if you just have 1 green with you. And let's see if I can just be very good and use my evergreen to show you. So, going to take off that. So I'm going to use the big tree. And I'm going to stamp that in the Evening Evergreen. And you're kind of making a forest. So for me, when I stamp images that look like a scene, I personally don't want to stamp straight on and have edges around it. Some people do like that. That's just not I didn't press hard enough all the way, but you guys get the idea. And I like to make the sizes not all be uniform. So I'm just lowering my stamp. So see how it went off on my paper? And then I'm going to come back in here like that. Okay? Then you're going to take your little tree. I better get my smaller block for the little tree. With your soft succulent ink, and you're going to fill in those open spaces. Or if you only have 1 ink color, you're just going to stamp it and then stamp it on your scrap paper and then come back in with the lighter color. Woo! My soft succulent looks as dark as my Evening Evergreen. Let me stamp that off a little bit because you want to have the light and dark. And I'm going to see how I have that white showing? I don't like it. So I'm just going to take my stamp and kind of fill in a little bit on it. And since it's inked off, I'm going to try to do the same thing over there. But you want to kind of just create a forest image. So the other way to do it is to come in and you could do the little trees first. My soft succulent is really juicy. It is as dark as my Evening Evergreen. And then you can come back in with your Evening Evergreen and do that. So whichever method works better for you, that's what you want to do. See how I caught that edge? It's not a worry to me because I'm just going to probably try to bring my tree up and hopefully catch some of that. And I know I have a big gap there, but I'm going to go fix that in a minute. Just that same like that. All right, so you want to have something that resembles a little forest in there. And then you're going to fold your card base in half. All right, so next step is to use your Merry Christmas again, unless you want a different sentiment that will fit on that skinny 3/4 inch strip. And I'm going to use soft succulent for that. And because my soft succulent seems to be so dark, I'm stamping off. And then onto the little rectangle. And you're going to angle cut the one edge after the word Christmas. So you want to angle cut it so your angle is longer at the bottom. So like that. The next step is you're going to now stamp you're going to glue your little forest piece onto your designer paper, the evening evergreen, and you're going to do it about an inch or so from the top, and it should go right to the edges. And then you're going to take a piece, this is about 11 inches long. If you want to do a ribbon saving technique, you can always just glue your ribbon to the front half. But the card is designed to where you're going to bring that ribbon across and put it in a knot on the side, left-hand side if you were looking at it. So you're just going to slide your ribbon in place like that. And if you want to put some glue dots under there to hold it, you can. I think I'm going to put one where it comes to the knot area so that it will lay nice and flat across there. Okay. And trim your ribbon edges. Mine is looking a little crazy. Next step, dimensionals on the back of this panel. You're going to want to make sure you do a dimensional at this corner and then right about the same distance from your ribbon. That will give you a good, the same depth, so you don't have to worry about, and again, you may want to use more dimensionals, maybe one here and there. But definitely 6 dimensionals on the back of this. Your fold is sideways, so there's my fold. This is the top, and I'm just gonna try to center this panel into the front of my card and lay it down. And now we have the Merry Christmas. You want your knot pretty far over because otherwise your Merry Christmas may not fit on your card. We're going to put that down like there. So, because I don't want to fully cover up that ribbon. I want it to come down a little bit. And I'm flat adhesing that. So I'm using the seal so that it will glue really well to that ribbon. That is a thick ribbon. So you want to make sure that you get some good adhesive on there. And try to get it on as evenly as possible. So you have that kind of a look right now. Now your next step, if you want, is to add your bling. So I'm going to use some of the, you could use the gold as well, but I'm going to use the red. And I'm just going to put 3 of these little red rhinestones on that tree. It's going to be the special tree hanging out in the forest. And if you wanted, you could even come in with your crumb cake ink and use the little star on this tree. Now, I originally didn't design this tree to have this card to have the star, and this stamp wants to continue to catch an edge. So let me just try to fix that. Okay. So, but because I had that little edge and Amanda was talking about making it into a little Christmas tree in the forest, I thought, oh, crumb cake will look good for that. So you can add that. And the other thing you could add is a dimensional, a larger one right over here at the end of your Merry Christmas. If you want. The rhinestones are all, you know, you guys make this into your own. So that is the third card. Any questions so far? Is everyone good? All right, we're on to the last card unless someone says stop. Okay, I hear no one. This last card is your Sahara Sand card. So for it, you have the Sahara Sand card base. You have 2 pieces of Evening Evergreen. This panel, which is 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then you just have, I randomly just cut this piece right here because this is the piece that we're going to use with the punch. And then you have a piece of the Sahara Sand. This is the back side. The Sahara Sand snowflakes that are 4 by 3 1/4, a little over 3. Okay. So for this one, we are going to, oh, and I almost forgot. You have this die right here. This is again from, oh my gosh, I forgot which die this is from. I don't remember. It may be from Tasteful Labels. Because when I couldn't just use one die set, I thought, I'll just use the ones I like. So you have this die, and this is where you're going to stamp it's friends like you that make this season so wonderful in your evergreen, in the Evening Evergreen, or whatever color of ink you have with you tonight. You could do it with Soft Succulent. It doesn't matter. I'm going to center that on. Just not pressing down with full force on Evening Evergreen, I guess. All right, so you've got your sentiment. Set that aside. And now we're going to use that punch. So this punch, I'm going to show it to you this way. This is, you should be seeing it right side up. This is what I call a stencil punch. I don't know if that's a real name or not, but that's how I think of it, is if you did stencils, painting with stencils on your walls or whatever, you have to move your stencil and match it back up on either side. So you want to stick this in to where the paper is past your punch a little bit. And you want your paper to come up clear to this edge, and then you're going to punch down. Now, when you come out of the punch, you need to align the trees that have been punched out here. Make them fill in the light colored trees. And then you're going to make sure your paper is tight against the bottom again. And you punch. So you're going to get this continual thing. See, my paper wasn't even. That's how I know. So if you don't like it, you just put it back in. We'll see. It won't matter because you have enough to go across. But I just want to show you again. You can make your paper go right to the edge if you need to. And then you line up and fill in the trees and punch again. And you can do that all the way down to paper. You just keep lining your trees up on the side. So then you have this whole long border of trees. Is that not cool? Woo! For those of you who have the Mountain Air stamp set, this punch, even this whole stamp set would work really well to coordinate back to that. So you have this long punched piece of pines and this stamp set, the stamp sentiment so far. The next step is to glue, where's my seal? You're going to glue the Sahara Sand Snowflakes onto your Evening Evergreen panel. Center it on. Okay, I'm going to center that on. And go ahead and fold your card base in half. This card is another one that the fold is at the top, like that. So now we have this panel. The next step is to put your trees on. And you want them, we don't want them completely to the bottom. We want them about like yay high. And I know I have extra there, but we're going to get to that. So you can use whatever adhesive you have. I'm going to personally go with the white liquid mono glue because the trees are so fine and I want to make sure they stay without having a ton of seal all around them. So you're going to lay them like so. We're going to fill in that gap just so you have an idea of how far up from the bottom to go. We're going to fill in a majority of that gap. I want a little tiny bit just for difference to show off, but you're going to layer a piece of the ribbon over the top when we get to that point. So get your evergreens on and then take your little scissors or your big ones. I like these big paper ones for cutting. I can cut straighter with them because the small paper snips have a curved edge, a curved blade. All right, and then you snip those trees. Snip them to be equal to the evergreen. Then you're going to take a piece of the evergreen ribbon and you're going to lay that on with glue dots. So you may find it easier to do your glue dots to the ribbon. I'm going to lay my glue dots onto my paper because then I can see exactly where I want the ribbon to lay, and I'm kind of trying to create a straight, hopefully semi-straight line with my glue dots so that when I add my ribbon on, it's gonna lay on there nice and straight. And when I cut ribbon for something like this, I tend to leave myself edges on either side of it. And then I go back in and trim it down more neatly. So then I'm going to go, I flip it over to the back side and I can trim it to size, just like that. And now you're going to take a little piece of ribbon and create a tiny little knot. Because you just want to have a finish, but we don't want it to take away too much from the card. And we're going to put that on with the glue dot. And it's going to go right over here. Right on this edge, somewhere in here, wherever you want it, okay? Now you're going to come in with dimensionals. And if I'm going too fast, someone holler out and I'll be happy to slow down. There, my dimensionals were hiding from me. So now we're going to go in with our dimensionals on our sentiment. And you're just going to layer that wherever you feel like you want it. It can come down off of your page. It can come up into the sky, wherever you want it. I don't want to cover up too much of those trees, but I want it down low. That's just where I want it. You can have yours wherever you want it. And then we're going to flat glue this panel centered on the front of your card, like so. And then we're going to add the rhinestones. So this time I'm going to use, let's see, I think I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen rhinestones. But you can use whatever, my rhinestones are stuck to the envelope. You can use whatever rhinestones color that you like, just to add a little bit of color and whimsy. And I'm going to put a big rhinestone, maybe. Right there. Add another. Rhinestones are kind of like icing, confetti sprinkles on icing or cupcakes. You just sprinkle them on however you like. I like to do odd numbers, but I know people who like to do even numbers. So that is the last card. So when they're all complete, you've got a really nice set and a good start on your Christmas cards, your holiday cards. So we've got these are our 4 cards.